Now let's start solving complex problems that require us to aggregate data into different groups to solve the problem. So for our first puzzle, using the GPA dataset, find 10 courses that had the highest percentage A in spring 2019. Wow, okay, so this is a lot to dive into. So we know first, using the GPA dataset. So the GPA dataset is going to be found by first doing import pandas as PD to import the pandas library. Second thing is I'm going to go ahead and load this data set into a data frame. So df is equal to pd.read_csv. And then this is going to be a https://waf.cs.illinois.edu/discovery/gpa.csv. And then we're going to go ahead and just print out df when we're actually working on this problem. So we're going to verify, did we load it in?
We loaded it in. We're good to go.
That's great. So now we want to find the 10 courses that had the highest percentage A's in spring 2019. So what we can do is so the GPA dataset gives us sections. So we don't want the individual section because a course like Stat 100, your course, Carly, you have multiple sections each semester, right?
Yes.
So we want to group all of the courses by both the section and both the subject number and the course number.
Got it.
So what we need to do is we want to think about a group, and this is going to be, I'm going to say our analysis. So I'm going to say A is equal to df.groupBy. And I want to group by two different things. I want to group by first the subject. So I'm using the square bracket list notation. Subject, comma, then the number. And so I'm df.groupBy, grouping by the subject and number to get all of the subjects and all the numbers. Then I'm going to aggregate them together because we're always going to group by, aggregate, then reset index. So here we want to know how many A's were given. So count is going to count how many rows, how many courses gave A's, but we want to know the total number of A's. So I want to aggregate by the sum. I want to sum up all of the A's given across all of the different sections of each course. And then I want to then .reset index. So now I have this group that has aggregated data together. So if you then type the variable A, what do we see?
Let's see. So we see 3,991 rows, 17 columns, and it looks like for each subject, actually for each course, they summed up all of the columns.
So now we've got a data frame with over 3,000 rows of all the different courses, but we want to only know the 10 courses that had the highest percentage A's. So, Carly, do we have a total column?
We do not in our data set.
That's unfortunate. So that means we have to create
we have to create one.
So the first thing, to find the percentage A's, we need the number of A's divided by the total number of students in the course.
Got it.
So we have a data frame. Now our data frame's name is A because A is the aggregated data. So I want to create a new column in A called A at total. So A at total is going to be a new column, and that is going to be quite a long formula. So that's going to be the value of A at A plus the value of A at A plus the value of A at A minus plus the value of A at B plus the value of A at B plus the value of A at B minus plus the value of A at C plus the value of A at C plus the value of A at C minus plus the value of A at D plus the value of A at D plus the value of A at D minus, and finally plus the value of A at F. So we need to add up how many students were in each course. So what we're adding is a total column that totals up the total number of A pluses, A's, A minuses, B pluses, B's, B minuses, C pluses, C minuses, and so forth for every single course. So we are finding out the total number of students in every single course subject in the entire data set. So once we do this, and we've added this A total column, we can print out what A is again. So I know that was a lot, Carly.
Let's see. So we have A, and now I have a column at the very end that says the total.
So this is the total number of students. So now we need to just do 2 more lines of code.
Sounds good.
So to create the percentage, we need a new column that I'm just going to call %A.
That's easy enough.
So df at
A, right?
So guys, you're totally right. Our data frame is no longer df anymore. If we try to do this with df, we get an error. So A at percent, inside quotes, I'm going to just call it %A's. And that's going to be equal to A at A divided by A at total.
And let's go ahead and look at A again. And looking at that output, now I have %A's. It looks like they are percentages between 0 and 1.
Awesome. So now we have the total percentage of students in each section who gave the total number of %A's. And finally, we can use our cheat sheet to see in our data frame, if we want to just select the top 10 rows, we see we have df.inLargest to allow us to find the largest rows by a particular column. So finally, we can do a.inLargest and open our parentheses, and our inLargest is we want to find the largest 10 courses. So 10, comma, then inside quote, %A's. So this will find in the data frame named A, which are aggregated data set, it's going to find the 10 courses with the largest percentage of A's.
And it did that. The very first one is Music 273, 99% A's.
Music 273, almost every single student got an A in the course, which is interesting because we only included A's here, not A pluses.
Right.
So this is a professor who really doesn't give any A pluses. And just going down the list a couple more because I'm actually really interested.
Yeah, so we have Music 274.
Another music course.
About 98.8% A's. Then we have Path 641. Not sure what that is.
Sounds like pathology. I think the vet med course.
You're probably right. 98.3% A's. HDFS, Human Development and Family Studies 379, 98% A's. Music 270, these Music 270 level courses, 97.7% A's. Animal Science 103, 97.4% A's, and so on.
Awesome. So now we can see that out of all of the data set, we're able to compute the total number of students and then add the percentage of A's that each student got.
Yes.
So this was a complicated example. Let's do a slightly simpler one.
Yeah, we had to even add new columns to our data frame.
Yeah, this was a little crazy. So puzzle 2 asks, what 50 instructors taught the most in spring 2019?
Ooh.
So this is a slightly different data set, or a slightly different question, because now we just want to look at the data frame where we only care about spring 2019.
Right.
So let's actually look at what's in DF by just typing DF, and let's see if we need to ask what our conditional needs to be.
So if I type DF, I see the GPA data set, the original one.
And then do we have so we've got a column named term, and we have a column named
year. We have year, term, subject number, course title, all the grades, and then primary instructor.
So this is really interesting because this data set is set up in a way that's going to be a little helpful for us because we could do a complex conditional where we say the year is equal to 2019 and the term is equal to spring, but we also have this year term, right?
Right.
And what's the format of year term?
So it's the year dash SP for spring and SU for summer, and I'm guessing FA for fall.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just do a simple conditional using this year term field.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to say I'm going to call this DF of 2019 is going to be a data frame that just contains spring of 2019 data. And that's going to be a subset of our data frame. So we're going to say DF at, and our conditional is going to be where DF at year term is equal to 2019-SP. And because this entire thing is not just a number, it's a number and characters, we need 2019 SP inside of quotes. Now I'll close this out, and then we will look at DF of 2019 and make sure that all we see is spring 2019 courses.
One's good. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Double equals instead of single equals.
Oh. Wow, thanks, Carly.
No problem.
Yeah, we want an exact comparison. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw the single equals. It pointed, my syntax there actually pointed to the equal sign, so it gave me a little hint.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing about sort of just writing down code. I always like to write down the code to kind of think about how I'm going to approach a problem, but then there may always be tiny little errors. Like I just instinctively wrote a single equals, even though I wanted to find exactly when 2019 spring was the year term.
And now I'm looking at the data frame DF 2019. And if I look at year term, every single entry says 2019-SP.
Awesome. And now we want to know what 50 instructors taught the most students in spring 2019. So now we need to group by these instructors to find out the one who taught the most students. So we have here, we're going to go ahead and say DF 2019 dot group by to group by. And now the column was primary instructor.
Yep, that's what it's called.
So we're going to group by primary instructor. And then we want to know how many students they taught. So we want to aggregate by the total.
Wait, should I do a capital T for total or a lowercase t?
So we should do a capital T to kind of keep things consistent.
All right.
And then we can dot reset index. And then in doing this, we're going to see that Python's going to give us an error.
Python didn't like it. It says total is not a valid function for data frame group by object.
Oh, well, we don't want to aggregate by total. That doesn't even make sense.
Oh.
Because aggregating is not aggregating by a column. We want to aggregate by a particular function. We only have certain function aggregations.
So
we don't want total here. Instead, the total is basically just a different word for sum. So we want to sum up all of the different columns.
And does it matter if I capitalize sum?
Sum needs to be all lowercase.
Sounds good. I just reran the code, and now I get the primary instructor is my first column, and it looks like we have summed all of the grades.
Awesome. But now let's save this entire data frame as A. So let's rerun this line, but say A is equal to DF 2019 group by, so forth.
Sounds good. So now we have it in a data frame called A.
Awesome. And now the final thing we need to do is we need to do something we did similar in the previous problem that we just did. So we also need to know the total number of students each instructor taught. So we could rewrite this whole big line of code up here where A at total is equal to A of A plus, A of A of A minus. But the beautiful thing about working in a notebook is when you need to rework on the same data, you can often will be able to scroll up and find that line.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
So if you find the line where you created the total column, you can copy that line. And now instead of just rerunning it, I like to keep everything logically flowing in the notebook.
Okay, so copy the whole thing.
Copy the line, and we will create the A at total is equal to that same line we had earlier.
I'm glad I don't have to type that again.
And then if we press A, we're going to be able to see what's stored in variable A.
It's A and then shift enter, and it looks like A is the total of all of the grades.
So we have a column named total now.
Yep.
Awesome. And the final step is we want to know the top 50 instructors who taught the most students. So who had the largest total number of students? So we're grouped by all of the different instructors now instead of the individual subjects. So we can simply say A, because our data set is A, dot in largest. And we want to know the 50 instructors, so 50, comma, the 50 instructors that have the largest number of total students. So A dot in largest 50 total is going to be the 50 largest totals of instructors based on student count. And who is the number one
The number one is Renique Kirsch.
Oh, interesting.
I don't
How
know
many
who that
students did
is.
they teach?
They taught 1,343 students.
So a lot of students in just spring of 2019 alone.
Yes, I found myself.
Oh, interesting. How many
Carly
students did you
Flanagan,
teach?
904.
So what position does that make you?
That puts me at, I didn't reset the index.
Oh,
So I don't know. Definitely top 20 for sure.
Awesome. So you see that we were able to aggregate by all the different sections an instructor taught, put it all together in a total value, and that total value is then allows us to see what instructors taught the most students in spring of 2019.
I even found some of our friends on here.
That's awesome. So we have one last puzzle that I want to leave for you, because as you see the answers, it's going to really help you understand sort of what to do, but then it kind of spoils you figuring out this puzzling on your own. So we have this last third puzzle that asks, what 5 subject areas, so this is just the subject column, taught the most students excluding students with W's? So now instead of looking at instructors, we want to look at just subjects alone. So did math teach the most students? Did computer science teach the most students? Did statistics teach the most students? And by answering this question, you're going to be able to find out which subject at the University of Illinois taught the most students, excluding any W's.
Happy coding.